Okay, hello, hello. Welcome to my YouTube show. My name is Jurema Silva, and this YouTube is starting right now. And I'm a little delayed, few years to start, but I'm starting in a good way here. Good month is June. And for the ones who don't know me, my name again is Jurema Silva. I'm a spiritual counselor. I'm an energy healer. I'm a public speaker, and I take care of spirituality, holistic healing, and everything about self-knowing, the inner self, and etc. and etc. So I have clients all over the United States, all over the world, and check my website if you want to know more about me or if you want to make an appointment with me, and etc. But again, this is June, and it is my favorite month of the year. And Tibet goes by so fast. But anyway, I enjoy June, but came to my mind at end of May that it is Father's Day this month is coming up. And lately, there's so much talk about men's health. And most of my clients are women, but I have a large percentage also of men all ages, from little boys, teenagers, young adults, middle age, and older guys too. And lately, I witness, I should say over the years, I witnessed the suffering that they have, the struggling of communicating, of putting the emotions out, um, having been under pressure by society with the profession, mourning a divorce or loss of a job, not knowing where to fit in society. And plus, there is that news of, which is a little scary, that men are dying first, not living as long as women, and there's a lot of heart attacks on men, a lot of strokes, and etc. But the last, I would say, 10 years, the talk about men have been more intense, and that the struggle of men to come out with the emotions, the place in society, the pressure in society is squeezing more and more men. And I can say that I witness through my clients. And today I have a special for Father's Day and for every day for guys watching and the ladies too, all of you, that we're going to discuss, we're going to talk about mental health, emotional health for men. And I brought two awesome guests here. I'm so proud of having those two guys here. My first guest is Devin Clarkson, and he's a licensed clinical social worker working with veterans in North Carolina, Charlotte, and homeless veterans. And also, he's a one-on-one counselor. Welcome, Devin. Thanks for being here.
Thanks
And
for having me, Jurema.
my second guest is Jason Pleavell. He's a life coach. He's a founder of Obstacle Remover, and he also co-hosts a podcast called Courage to Be Real. And Jason, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for both of you being here.
Thank you.
And hey,
Yeah, thank you for having us, Roma.
awesome. I'm going to start with this main question here. What's happening with men? Why is so difficult for men to express themselves? Why is so difficult for them to tell what's going on with their feelings? What's suffocating them? What's the issue? And Devin, you can start first.
I think that it's kind of a worldwide, a societal expectation that men just kind of grin and bear it, don't complain. Man up is the term that gets used a lot, and I think that throughout like evolution and history, that has been the case. That at times, like men have had to grin and bear it. But I think in our modern society, and perhaps there always has been, there is space and there needs to be men talking about their feelings and feeling their feelings too. Because I think there's one thing is having an awareness of what you're feeling, which can be a big obstacle for some men, and then the second thing is actually feeling them. And there's many ways that we can cut ourselves off from those feelings, and I think men tend to do that perhaps a little bit more often than women, is cut ourselves off from our emotions. And you know, it's sad because I think that the number one like suicide statistic are like middle-aged men basically, and a lot of times people didn't even know they were suffering. A lot of the stories that I hear, you know, and I think that's because they keep it so bottled up inside that it gets to a breaking point. And so my work is about men accepting themselves, trusting themselves, and working through some of these feelings and getting in touch with what's there.
Jason, what do you think that is the huge issue or issues that uh, impending the men in general to express themselves?
I 100% agree with what Devin is saying. There's that societal pressure, the way that we were raised, the way that we were taught, like that we have to man up. The emotions that we're feeling, we're not allowed to express those. And we either by consciously suppressing those emotions or unconsciously repressing them, we're holding on to them. But what we don't what we don't feel, we hold on to that, and it I think there was a study that was done. It's like 20 to 30 years, 2 to 3 decades before some of those emotions they just explode out of us. And as men, like what Devin was saying, there's a certain amount of shame that gets put like a shadow, a dark shadow on top of all of that because there's something that's telling us that it's wrong that we're feeling the way that we're feeling. And the fact that I can't figure out how to fix it, how to deal with these emotions in a way that's healthy, that shame sits on top of it. And then uh, if we don't do anything with that shame, especially, that's when the suicide is like that. That's a lot of guys' last resort. Um, it's just that dark shadow. It says I'm not allowed to feel the way that I'm feeling, and I don't know how else to get out of it. So they end up choosing to opt out.
Yeah. Um, I agree with both of what you guys just said, and during my events, when I'm talking about emotions, state of mind, and etc. in connection, um, I always use the example of society, how we all grew up into the society with norms and rules and morals and religions that we have to follow. And there is the way of raising the boys and raising the girls that is very different. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I do blame society of raising the boys so tough, so inside that the wall that it feels like it's a cement wall that is suffocating them. And obviously I see that on my clients, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. They suffer. And there are some countries that even project less liberty to express themselves to men. It's even worse than here, worse than in the United States, the Americas. That those guys suffer even more, and the lifespan of those guys are even shorter than here in the United States for the lack of expression. So, society puts this stole on top of you guys. We raise boys, and I know you guys have sons. Devin, you have two boys, and Jason, you have one son. And I know the pressure is there. So before we touch this, we continue touching other subjects that men are facing. Uh, do you guys agree that society put you guys under pressure do you both think that society should change or people should change? What's the change of the misconception of men? What do you think?
I'll let you take this first, Jason.
Oh, sure, Devin. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think I can attest that I've seen some changes being made in that realm, like men being more open, more willing to share, willing to be more vulnerable. I think there's still a really long ways that it needs to go, but if you're looking in the right place, you can see that that change has been happening, and it's not that there was any ill intent from society, but maybe it was just one of those necessary evils at the time, going through World War II, and how the baby boomer generation, and how like I know my father being just somebody who just worked all the time and came home and being raised by mothers, who were doing their best but didn't know really how to help a boy transition into a man. And so we have these emotionally stunted men, quote unquote men, who are really just 8, 9, 10 year olds emotionally. And there was no ill intent, but we need to, yes, Jurema, to answer your question, everybody needs to, society, our parents, our caregivers, the people in our lives need to be understanding and willing to accept the fact that men have emotions and they need to be able to express them in a safe capacity.
And what's Devin, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with everything Jason just said, and I think one a great place. So I'm part of a men's group myself, and I've also been facilitating men's groups at the VA. I do think that there is something about being in a group with people who identify as men that there is something really special that can happen in a group in a safe space like that where people in our group you have 4 minutes uninterrupted time to speak on what's been going on in your life and everyone gets an equal share in that group. There's some we sit in circle with opening it with fire in the middle of the circle, whether it's a candle or an LED lamp, and there is something spiritual that happens in these circles. And I think we have been sitting around circles since the beginning. Since we first discovered fire, we've been sitting around fire in circle, and whether it was council, in council, but for me, there's something very powerful about men coming together in groups and stripping away. We talked yesterday. Actually, I had my men's group last night, and we talked about stripping away the mask, because even at group we can come to the group with still that mask on, but the more someone is vulnerable and has the courage to do so, I think they can open up other members in the group to also take off the mask and show their authentic self.
Um, all of that pressure affects relationships, not just marital or love relationships, but all the relationships around men, involving men. Um, where are the hurdles? Where are the issues regarding relationship? It's to me taking care of all genders as clients, but focus on man and woman. It's almost like woman came from this world here, this planet, and man from this totally different planet. It's like they don't know each other, but at the same time, they need each other. They love each other. They have that attraction, the natural attraction, female and male. So, were the struggles that the men go through in a marriage or in a relationship that affects everybody around them, even in relationships with family members and coworkers and etc. Let's start with a love relationship. Where are the struggles? Devin, you can start.
I think I think oftentimes that repression can come up and not speaking on someone's wants or desires. I think a man can hold that in, and and then when it hasn't been expressed, I think unfortunately, one of the typical ways that men express themselves is with anger too, and anger can be hurtful. And I'm not saying ours. There's different situations too, but I think that learning to speak through those emotions and what we're feeling, um, learning to trust ourselves and speaking up too for what it is that we might want or need in that moment. But I think, yeah, I think the repression and holding things in can become a big issue.
Jason.
So I like what Devin was saying about his men's group and how everybody comes to the circle with their mask. And I think a lot of guys in their relationships, they've never felt a sense of safety in their relationship to where they feel safe enough to take that mask off. And so when it comes to a love relationship, it's like we've been, and I can speak from this because this is how it was in my marriage before I got divorced. I wore a mask and my partner was in love with the mask. And I was never felt in this position. I was never safe enough to be vulnerable enough to show my true authentic self, because what if she didn't love me for who I really was deep down? And so from my personal experience, that's where all the drinking came from. You know, being an alcoholic, I had to drink because that repression, like Devin said, for me it was suppression. I was suppressing all those emotions, and I wanted somebody to see me. I wanted somebody to be in love with the real me, but it was way too I was too chicken shit, too afraid to take off the mask, because otherwise I wasn't going to be accepted. I wasn't going to be chosen for who I really was deep down.
So this pressure is builds up since since a man start growing up, since a young age, and it start building up and for lack of better words, boils until inside a marriage. And it's hard
Mm-hmm.
when the mask is still there and things don't go well. And here comes the blame, the grief, the rage, anger, and et cetera, when the relationship doesn't work. Is that right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly right. And there is so much emotion that gets piled up inside of a man behind that mask. And then once he does finally decide to take it off, there's a really fine line that he needs to end up walking, where he's like he wants somebody to see him and love him for all that he is. And because we weren't raised, we weren't given the proper rights to become a man, we now expect our partner to help manage all of these emotions that we don't know what to do with, and that puts a lot of stress and pressure on our partner then.
Devin?
I also want to note, I just want to just really express gratitude to you, Jason, because I think what you did a moment ago was you took down the mask and you let yourself be vulnerable. And I just want to let you know that I was really touched by it. And I think that's really a gift to all of us. So I just want to thank you for that, man, for speaking
Thank you,
from your
Devin.
heart.
I appreciate that.
Sometimes we need to go through a lot of struggle and grief, especially for the mask to come down. Isn't it right, Jason?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's almost like we surrendered to a situation and everything comes apart and we reveal ourselves. One of you mentioned to be angry. There are a lot of situations that man turns that pressure, that those struggles into violence and anger. Uh, can you guys explain why? And I know it's not just it happens to women too, but most with men. Is that also a build up of how you're supposed to behave since when you were very little, like the power coming out? I'm strong. I'm a Superman, and etc. and etc. So all of those feelings turning to violence within, and some guys express the violence literally. So what do you guys take with that side that it turns to be out of hand?
Devin, I would love to hear your take on this one.
Um, yeah, I mean, violence just comes from uncontrolled anger, and I think that I think the word that Jason just touched on too, that was just powerful to use is fear. And I think we live in a fear-based society, especially in the USA. And I think that men live with a lot of fear too. And I think that this fear, a lot of it comes from a lack of trust of self and that we do hold the answers inside. I truly feel like every individual holds the answers to their challenges in life. And it's stripping away the fear and getting in touch with what the spirit, what the soul is saying, which to me is even deeper than the feelings. The feelings are temporary. They can come and go. But when we can tap into this inner source of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, God, spirit that I feel is in all of us, um, then the fear just naturally melts away. Um, so I think it's important to speak on fear too.
Fear. Jason, what's your opinion about violence and anger?
I remember when I was doing my own therapy, and my therapist had told me, anger really serves two purposes. And number one, it's to correct when a boundary is crossed. And so anger can be used as a tool. This violence that you're speaking of, like that's probably more when it comes to what the anger is actually covering up is a deep sadness, or like what Devin is talking about is this fear. When like we have a typical boundary being crossed, like I don't like it when you steal my stuff. I'm gonna get angry at that. I'm gonna do something to correct that. Or when it's used towards a loved one, whether it be a partner or a spouse, or we blow up at our kids over something that's really little. I think it's because there's something deep within us that is about to be touched that we don't want to be touched. It's an old wound. It's something from our childhood. It's this like what Devin's saying, this fear of something in me is about to get activated again. And I remember the last time it was activated, I was 6 years old and things did not go really well. So I'm using this anger to prevent that from happening. And sometimes it comes out as this violence because we don't know how to manage it. We don't know how to control it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well said. Anything to add, Devin, about what Jason said?
Yeah, I mean, I think violence is trying to have a sense of power over another person, and I think that's what Jason just said right there. Is maybe not having control over that thought or fear, and feeling wanting to feel in some type of power in another capacity, which might be having power over someone, which unfortunately I think is what applies with domestic abuse and stuff like that, with men's being 9 times out of 10 the perpetrators of domestic violence.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, I my way of guiding people, it's a bit, and you guys know it's a bit more profound than just from the time of birth. So I go beyond and into past lives many times to explain what's going on with the person. Uh, and a lot of men nowadays, and this has been going on, but there's a lot of men, especially young ones, are holding on to or just rediscovering religion, rediscovering spirituality, rediscovering something more, like Devin was mentioning, but more of a gathering of energies together to be able to release. Uh, what tools in terms of spirituality and religion that you guys recommend that will help men? Devin?
What tools of religion?
Or what tools of beliefs? Yeah, yeah. What will help them? You'll be a spirituality. You'll be a religion. You be what? Or that doesn't help at all.
I think I think for me, my spirituality, I guess, is I feel like fundamental to my life. So involving spirit in what I do, and I believe that a gathering of people automatically brings spirit and life. So I do think that like an organized religion can be a place of finding spirit in communion with others. For me, it's I've been heavily influenced by Eastern philosophy and the Himalayan tradition of yoga. So where I find much of my spirituality is through meditation and finding becoming one with the breath and centering myself through that. My struggle is and how ours has been with anxiety. So I have found deeper meaning and purpose through yoga, meditation. But I think the path is Mother Nature is another thing that there's deep spirituality that I find in getting out into a forest or under the stars and camping. So there's many paths that I kind of believe all lead to the same thing, which is there, which is a higher power or spirituality that exists in this world.
Jason?
Hmm. Yeah, I love that you highlighted on Eastern traditions, Devin, because there's a reason I got Buddha right in the middle of my neck. I mean, I'm reminded of like the Eightfold Path in Buddhism. As you're asking that question, Jurema, it just reminded me of that and how like one of the very first things in the Eightfold Path is having right view. Like, am I actually seeing things factually for what they are? And this is something that I teach the men that go through my program. It's like you're viewing certain dynamics in your relationship, in your work life, and any aspect of your life through a certain lens. But is it factual? Are you viewing the world for what the world actually is, or are you perceiving it to be a certain way because you're looking for evidence to confirm some sort of belief or story about yourself? And so,
Mm,
um, and yeah, and to piggyback on what you're saying, Devin, there is an innate power within all of us, this innate intelligence, this divine guidance that is our spirit, our soul. Like, what are we here for? And another thing that we bring into the programs that I work with men on is like, let's take a look at your suffering. Can we reframe your suffering? First of all, let's acknowledge it. Let's validate it. I'm sorry that that happened. It sucks that it happened. Like, I wouldn't wish what you went through on anybody, but it happened. You were chosen for a reason. That suffering had to happen. It had to manifest through you for a reason. Let's figure
mm,
out what that reason is.
mm.
Um, what it is to be emotionally strong or emotionally balanced, and in adding to the question, how can men to get to that balance?
You
We'll
know,
let you
Jason,
know when we figure it out.
I, I just wanted to bounce off that too, and I think it ties into the question you asked, Jason, because I think the 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 suffering that has occurred, the sometimes those worst moments that like those actually can be flipped. And some of the most powerful work I've seen done is when people flip it and see them as like blessings. And I'm not trying to sound Pollyanna-ish with that, but I do think there is a way of taking the wrongs in our life and seeing how that changed us and perhaps challenged us to be better people too, you know? So finding emotional balance, I think is coming to peace with our past. It's coming to peace with who we are, with our deficiencies, which we all have, and also embracing our strengths too, you know, and And I think not repressing those strengths, because I think we all have a God-given talent that I think one thing we can do better than anyone else in this world, actually. And so are embracing ourselves, accepting ourselves, and
I
uh,
think that's what it is right there, is self-acceptance. And the reason that what you're speaking about men's circles being so powerful is because I can't accept myself. Like what? Like that's asinine. That's a crazy thought. But when you're in a group of men who start accepting you, then it becomes a little more realistic. Like, wow, I just shared something that I've been afraid to share for 30 years, and you guys don't judge me for it. If you can accept me, maybe I can accept me too. And once we have that, then it becomes so much easier to manage all of those emotions. And Jurema, one of your questions that you emailed to us before the recording today was, how can we help men who are suffering emotionally? And I found that question funny
That, that,
because,
that's the next question for you guys.
yeah, wonderful. I found that question really funny because we're humans, and like we're going to have emotions.
Mhm.
But why do we have to attach the idea of suffering to it? It's like, just because I'm having a bad day, or because I'm experiencing grief, or I'm experiencing despair or shame or embarrassment, I don't have to attach suffering to that. That's a part of the human experience.
yeah,
And I think it's those simple reframes
Yeah,
that helps us become more in touch with our emotions, and more allowing them to just be, just allowing us to accept them.
right, right. On my mentoring, my um counseling, it's okay to experience pain and suffering because, again, like you said, Jason, it's part of being human. And life, it's you don't learn in life, you don't grow, you don't develop, you don't expand if you don't experience those unpleasant feelings. It's a matter of, are you going to expand decades on that situation? If you call pain, if you call suffering, if you call whatever disturbance, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Those words are all cliche. It is a matter of learning what's going on with you and get out of that situation that it is and it could be temporary. So all those cliche that we title ourselves can last one day, 1 week, few months, 1 year, but not decades. So that to me, it's very important to get to people in general, especially men, to that point of recognizing, hey, I'm suffering and this is temporary, and I have the strength now to overcome that pain. And that's what
yeah,
I really mean about suffering, because we all do, is the length of suffering, that it is a issue, a very large issue to consider. It's a, does it make sense what I just said?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That we don't have to sit in that pain forever, and
No,
we have a choice also.
exactly. Exactly. Now,
And
talking about, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, maybe Devin can speak to this a little bit more, since he does have the professional background and schooling involved. But I want to say, I've heard a study that said an emotion, the actual chemical response that's happening in our body, the chemicals that our brain is releasing, and the hormones that we're experiencing, it only takes about 90 seconds for those to actually be metabolized by our body, to process through our body. But we last a day, a week, a year, because we attach some sort of story to it. And we're so attached to the story that I keep experiencing this emotion because it's what I deserve, or it's something that is aligned with what we need to try to overcome in this lifetime.
And sometimes the person is so attached to that story that that story becomes the person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sense
Yeah,
how the person lose the identity, lose everything. The whole situation it becomes the person, and the person cannot see any longer beyond that situation.
Yeah. The wound.
Right.
Mhm.
Devin, do you still need to go soon?
I haven't been kicked out yet, so I'm going to keep going.
Okay. All right. So I want you guys to share some options here to help the viewers. And it's not just to help a man in general who is watching, but also help the partners, even children, adult children who is struggling with the father and the father's attitude and the father's behavior and the aggressivity, whatever it is. Uh, um, in general, what you guys can share about your own experience, personal experience and professional experience that can help men in general, meditation, yoga, therapist, group healing. Uh, um, what is it that you guys should suggest here that is going to improve men's emotional and mental health? Devin.
Mm. Um, I I think there's many different avenues to go about this. I think that um, counseling is valuable. I also think sometimes that group counseling or a men's group like the one where I'm in, where we're not using insurance and all we're doing is just paying for the usage of the space and no one's making any money off of it, can be just as powerful sometimes as group psychotherapy too. So I think there's power in coming together in group to heal. I think there's power in individual counseling too. I think Jason, I think used the word like self therapy earlier. I think there's much power in healing ourselves and working with ourselves too. But I do think that I really think doing it in some type of a community can be the way for many men because of our tendency to isolate. And I think that what I'm hearing from your groups, Jason, too, is that you do this in community with others. So I would probably encourage a lot of the male identifying viewers to find a group to be a part of. And if there isn't a group, um, to perhaps start one because I think there's more men looking for these type of things than we might think too. And if I can be of a resource of that, please reach out to me.
I totally agree with you. It's a great idea to be in group to share uh, their life experience, the emotions, and what's going on with them. And you said something uh, that is correct, Devin. Men tend to isolate themselves when they are in trouble, when they think they are in trouble. So it's hard for them to speak because of judgment and criticism from society. So that's a great idea to be in groups because sometimes in groups we realize that we are not suffering together, that person sitting next to you is experiencing the same thing, and you go, oh my god, it's not just me. And that's already a percentage of healing right there, to say, hey, this guy, I understand what he's saying. And it's I agree with you, a group healing, to speak up, to be there and sharing. It's a great idea. um Last month I launched this monthly gathering um, through my website as a program that I wanted to do for a long time. And I had the members, the participants, and it was just amazing talking again about group healing. You know, being together in a group, express yourself. If it is via Zoom or in person, it doesn't matter. And I was not expecting that all those people in that group was going to speak up. And I said, hey, I'm touching on those subjects here. It's a first meeting, so I want them to feel comfortable, secure, safe to express themselves. And I was clear when I start to record that they didn't have to say anything if they didn't feel comfortable, they didn't know each other, and just be quiet and listen. And I start speaking, and I asked one girl about her opinion, and all the members were speaking up. And yes, you both are correct. You, Devin, Jason, to be in a group, and especially if you feel safe, if you feel that safety in a group, you feel that that group is all about respect, consideration with your experiences and etc. It makes the people to speak up and express, and they feel fantastic after an hour or two being together. And that's to me, from the experience of last month with my gathering, it's the number one idea for not just men, but for everybody to release, to feel accepted and feel like I'm not the only one suffering this, and I don't have to isolate myself. Does it make sense? And
Yeah.
Jason, what
Mhm.
do you suggest to men
Absolutely.
in terms?
I'll piggyback off of what you both are saying. Absolutely. Not isolating yourself. There's some bad things that can happen when you isolate yourself. One of the things that I picked up right away after I was going through my divorce was the mindful self compassion guidebook. And so I would highly recommend that. That was a great thing. One of the things that they spoke about in there was just accepting the fact that what you're suffering through right now, you're not alone in that suffering. Millions of other people are suffering through the exact same thing. And if you can bring awareness to that and acceptance to that, it's so much easier. You can apply that compassion to yourself. I love to tie different analogies to some of the healing work that I do with men because I feel like it's a lot easier for them to accept it and embrace it then. And so one of the things that I like to talk about is golfing. And there is this amazing, it's like this little story about golfing. Like when you hire a coach, a golfing coach, to analyze your swing, and you go out to the driving range and you pull back and you let one go, and he says you got to do this differently, you got to hold your hips differently, you got to extend your reach or whatever. I'm not a golfing guy, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but the coach highlights a bunch of things and he brings awareness to what you're doing wrong. And so that's the first step, is awareness. But after you have all of that awareness, it doesn't mean you're ready for the PGA Tour within 2 weeks. You need to practice it. And so around like if guys are suffering with anger issues or with destructive coping mechanisms, which a lot of my clients, they go through those things, like anger, a lot of alcohol, a lot of weed, a lot of overeating, a lot of overworking, bring awareness to the things that are setting you off, that are causing you to do those things. And it's as simple as starting a list of triggers, a list of events or experiences that take place that get you activated. Oh, I'm in an activated state. And then you can bring awareness to the feeling, the emotion that you're experiencing. It's like, okay, my wife didn't text me back what she wanted for dinner. She ignored my text message. It's like, okay, that was a trigger. You write that down. What's the emotion that you're experiencing? Write that down. There's what's called affect labeling, that once you label something out loud, it kind of lessens its power over you. And then you write down your reaction. How would you normally react in that situation? I'd get mad, I'd blow up, I'd go to the bar, I'd smoke a joint, whatever your destructive coping mechanism is. But then the last one is really important. How would my most enlightened version of myself respond in this situation instead? If I was grounded and I was clear and I was strong in who I was, how would I respond in this situation instead? And it's literally building out this blueprint, this roadmap, this toolbox that you have at your disposal at all times. And it's just bringing the awareness to all of that and then putting it into practice. And then the other thing too, like Devin was saying, yoga and yoga, breath work, meditation, all of those things. Um, practicing those things, especially it's kind of a controversial topic, but exposure therapy, exposing yourself to the difficult emotions, exposing yourself to embarrassment, exposing yourself to anger, exposing yourself to fear, and then learning to sit with it and just learning to regulate yourself out of that. It's like going to the gym. It's like you're going to go into the gym and you're going to work out, you're going to lift some heavy ass weights until you get big muscles, and it's going to hurt. The same thing with your emotions. If you can sit with those difficult emotions, you start to build your capacity and your ability to hold them longer.
Correct.
Yeah,
You
that's
guys
right.
are
That's right.
amazing.
Yeah. I do have to get going, unfortunately, here.
So, Devin, could you quickly, briefly, give a message for Father's Day?
Absolutely.
I
Happy
know
Father's
you
Day.
you sent me a nice text here saying we all hold the answers to our problems within and just need to trust ourselves enough to tap into that inner wisdom, which is a very beautiful message. And that's what you do for living. In my opinion, it's very tough work here taking care of veterans, homeless veterans, and men in general. So, what's the message here for Father's Day?
I think I would say Happy Father's Day and trust yourself. Trust yourself. I'm going to keep it simple.
Good. That's awesome. Thank you so much for participating.
For
And
sure.
happy
You're welcome.
Father's Day. And I see you again. We are going to plan to do a live with both of you so we can get questions from the public. And I'm very excited about this. Great
Me
thing.
too.
Thank you so much, Devin.
Thanks for the
It was
opportunity.
great meeting you, Devin.
Nice to
See you,
meet you.
man.
All right.
Peace.
Jason, um, two messages I want you to share here. Uh, your statement here was just awesome too about what you do and why you do. But why don't you share a couple tips here regarding to love relationships, not just for guys, but also for ladies who do not really understand you guys. I am a bias because I had three long relationships, three partners in my life. And I'm saying I'm a bias because I'm a mentor, a spiritual mentor. So I take care of men, a lot of men, all different ages, little boys, teenager, middle age, older man. Um, so I see men in a very different way. And you know that because we talk about that last time you came to visit. So give us some clarity here for man dealing with his lady in a relationship and vice versa for women too. So what do you got to say?
The first thing that comes to mind, it's actually been coming up a lot lately, Jurema, and I shared with my client just the other day, and I shared with it with my partner as well. I love it. It's a great analogy, but as men, we are we're building a garden, and our life is a garden, and within this garden we have these beautiful plants and these beautiful flowers that we need to care for and we need to tend to, and we're responsible for these, and we need to make sure that they're properly watered. We need to make sure that they have the proper sunlight. We need to make sure that they have everything that they need to grow. And if we do that correctly, if we prune the weeds and if we fertilize and we water and we give the proper sunlight, we're going to attract to us all sorts of amazing things. Beautiful butterflies, birds. I mean, just, and on top of that, we're going to have this pretty amazing garden, this beautiful thing to look at. And what a lot of guys get wrong is that they go out and they end up chasing butterflies. They spend their whole life chasing butterflies, trying to catch the next biggest job, or the next girl, or whatever it is to satisfy their own ego. And a lot of times when you spend time chasing those butterflies, they scurry away, they fly away from you, and you end up you're not catching them. But if you spend time tending your garden, becoming magnetic within yourself, healing the things that you need to heal, pulling up the roots that don't belong, the weeds in
Mhm.
your garden that don't belong there anymore, you're going to end up with a pretty beautiful garden, and you're going to have all this amazing wildlife coming to you. And that is, I mean, that's a alignment, Jurema. That's you just getting in touch with who you are as your individual, being your truest authentic self, and allowing life to come to you.
So what you're saying, really, you mentioned a big garden is to attend to the garden instead of being
Tend
worried
to the ground.
about a butterfly flying or chasing this and that, is to focus on the garden. It's amazing because I recorded a video about focusing on your love relationship, your marriage, uh, and etc. by watering the plant, not allowing the plant to die. And it was kind of a very similar message. Instead of being with your head, your mind, trying to achieve this plateau here and there and worry so much about your just attend your garden. In your garden or your plant, it's made of your partner, your children, your
Hmm.
friends around, and what pleases you. And what pleases you is see that little plant that you're watering, that you've given nutritious to grow. And also the same thing with your garden. That's a
You
very
know,
point.
yeah, exactly. And that's something that I thought of when I was going through my divorce dilemma. Is like I thought I was doing everything right. I was building the garden. I was tending to every single flower. I was tending to my wife. I was tending to the kids, making sure that they had everything that they needed to grow. But I wasn't, I did not realize that I was also a flower in that garden. I was the gardener and a flower. And I was only making sure that they had what they needed to bloom. And I myself was allowing myself to die and rot because all of the weeds were just encompassing me. I wasn't doing the work that I needed to make sure that I had the proper soil and I had the proper nutrients and I could also bloom into this beautiful soul that I needed to become or allowed to exist.
Yeah, like I said, I'm biased to talk about man. But, I had experiences living with men in my life, three of them, and also with my male clientele, and I understand men very well because of my service that apply to them. But a lot of women do not understand men and the urges and the upsetting feelings and being angry and being closed in a relationship, not speaking up, not giving the woman enough attention, and especially staying in a love relationship, in a marriage that is not working. So
Hmm.
uh, what do you say about this? What do you explain to women in general? The partners, the wives in general, the girlfriends in general, to explain all this behavior and all those the way that the men act in a relationship.
That is, I think, where it gets really tricky because men do have needs. And this is probably something that I'm still learning for myself too. And I think it's a really fine line between asking, having a conversation to get clarity around your need. Where is that need actually coming from? Like, is it just a purely physical, biological need, like the need to have sex or the physical closeness? Or is it a need for validation? Is it a need for approval and acceptance? Because there's a difference there. And sometimes the need for validation becomes a black hole that a man, he can't demand his partner to fulfill that for him. He needs to learn how to fulfill that for himself. But he can also have the conversation with her and letting her know this is something that I struggle with. I'm aware that it's something in me that I need to keep working on. I want to include you into my world, but to be careful not to make her the manager of it, not to make her responsible for fixing it. But it's a fine line, because I think as couples, if you truly love one another and you are really good for each other, you want to do that. It becomes natural. But if a man ends up not getting that, it's like, okay, if I get it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but then on Friday something's different, it's like he needs to be careful, because he can end up, throwing a little temper tantrum. If he throws a temper tantrum, well, kids throw temper tantrums. That's an inner child wound that you need to have addressed. Does that answer
Oh,
your questions? That makes sense?
that it does. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
You also, Jason, sent me a beautiful statement here, um, and one line here. You work with people who are done numbing their way through life and want to come back to themselves and their families. Your work goes back to where it started, childhood wounds, beliefs that people never questions and etc. So, um, message for Father's Day, um, for this Father's Day for this month. Do you have any messages, any encouragement, any awareness of what's going on? What you wanted to share, because you and Devin are doing a wonderful job, focus most, and if it's not 100% a man and men issues, and that's very important nowadays. Like I mentioned when we opened this video, it has been very important, and to me it's great. The men in general are open to look for ways to heal the wounds, to heal the stress, the anxiety, the depression, and etc. and etc. They are looking for ways, because they are in the news all the time. If it's not because of violence, it's because of health issues and etc. So, what is your message for Father's Day?
Mm, I love that. And I think, first of all, happy Father's Day. And whatever you're going through, like if you're suffering, if you're truly suffering, just know, I mean, you've got me in your corner, you've got Jurema in your corner, you got Devin in your corner. And if it feels like you're alone, I just want you to know you're not. And you're doing a hell of a job as a father, as a partner. If you feel like your patterns are just taking over your life though, and you don't know what to do, the line that comes to mind is, you cannot heal what you refuse to feel. And so I know you have it in you. You have the courage and the bravery to be able to tap into whatever it is that you need to tap into, that innate strength to go into the darkest, deepest recesses of your mind, and face your shame and be vulnerable, to let some of that out so that you can truly step into and become the man that your kids need and your wife needs. Yeah, I know you can do it. I see it every single day.
That's a wonderful, great message. Jason, thank you so much. I wanted to do this again with you and Devin. Uh, both of your inputs, your opinions, your experience, personal experience as a professional, they all helping tremendously men, and also helping women to understand more men, because it goes on each side. And I would love to repeat this again, and we got to set up a live one so people can ask questions. It will be fun, and
That'd be great.
we can all answer. So soon we're going to set up that. And thank you so much, and happy Father's Day to you. And I'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video with a different theme. And this was amazing. And I hope you enjoy it, especially you guys watching there, you all men, and girls too, and women. Those two are fabulous healers and professional coach and therapists. And I love the idea that all of what they said is available for men. It's available for all of us, and for men that who are struggling. And how I hope you have a wonderful Father's Day. I hope you enjoy yourself, and I hope you look for healing. I hope you look for peace. And I'm going to leave the contact for a one-on-one or a group healing with both of those professionals. I'm going to leave a link to on my website. You can watch this video on my website, juremasilva.com, or you can watch anytime on YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. This was a healing moment for all of us. Take care.